Hey, what's up? It's Megan Slankard, and you're listening to WORT 89.9 FM Madison, listener-sponsored community radio. Woohoo!
Welcome to the Access Hour, where each week WORT offers you the opportunity to fly your program over the radio. The Access Hour is WORT's commitment to community access to the airwaves. For this hour, we have turned the airwaves over to a member of the public. The views expressed on the Access Hour do not necessarily represent the views of the station, its staff, its programmers, or the board of directors. But let's now begin our next foray into the freest form program on the WORT schedule. The Access Hour.
I don't like this any more than you do. I'm done. I've begun to think there might be something wrong with you. Forewarned. Tell you what I'm gonna do to get the noise to stop that I'm getting used to living in your head. And you know the next time you're just sitting there and you're doing nothing, you had better be dead. What are you waiting for me to say I'm sorry for sitting on my ass? What are you waiting for me to say I'm sorry, keep giving up so fast? Say I didn't call you. Do-do-do-do-do. Say I didn't call you out, you'd still be here, wouldn't you? Doesn't it freak you out to know that you can so easily lose a days? Here I sit and go on lecturing myself. Way to complicate almost everything. What are you waiting for me to say I'm sorry for sitting on my ass? What are you waiting for me to say I'm sorry, keep giving up so fast? Say I didn't call you. Do-do-do-do-do. Say I didn't call you out, you'd still be here, wouldn't you? If you didn't hear me call you out, no one interfered. Someone didn't wake you up, I know you still live here. I have lived my life inside a shell. It's not big, but it fits my mind. No place like home, no place like hell, and I built it by myself. Say I didn't call you. Do-do-do-do-do. Say I didn't call you out, you'd still be here, wouldn't you? You didn't hear me call you out, and no one interfered. Someone didn't wake you up, I know you still live here. If I didn't call you, would you still be here? If I told you to don't get your life, don't leave it here. Don't you shine.
Good evening. I'm Tom Jones, and for the next hour, I will be talking to my favorite singer-songwriter, Megan Slankard. From Isthmus Sessions to Mile of Music in Appleton, she made Wisconsin a destination in her tour schedule and will again in the post-pandemic future. Her music lifted me from a dark place years ago, and she's since become a friend who I am delighted to welcome to WORT. So, hi, Megan.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm happy to see you on the screen and record you here.
I know, it's so good to see you. I know it's still 2D, but it's been a lonely year. I usually am out in Wisconsin area a couple times a year, and I haven't been able to travel since February. So
That's crazy. So that kind of leads into what's life as a performer like during a pandemic? You're kind of a test case.
I would say that it's been sort of an interesting journey. It's been a lot of distraction. It's been hard to grasp like inspiration, and normally I see the passage of time through a touring year. Like I know that specific times of year I'm going to be in specific spots, but this has all sort of blended together in this one homogenized like chunk of time where it all just feels like it's going very slowly and very quickly at the same time, like on a daily level. Since each day is sort of the same, there's no like getting up and driving to a new place and playing for people. It all seems very monotonous and the same sort of thing, but it's already December somehow. So I don't know how we got here, but yeah, it's been a lot of searching and trying to figure out, like, reinvent myself in, like, not knowing how temporary this is all gonna need to be. But I think there's been a lot of like the panic sets in, and then you sort of talk yourself off the ledge, and the panic sets in. This is what I wanted to do. Music and touring, being a touring musician, it was a dream since I was 10 years old, and sort of like having to screech to a halt and not knowing like what music is going to look like after this, seeing that like lots of my friends have had to get jobs, and we're all just holding on, and venues are closing, and yeah, so it's been sort of slightly traumatic, but I'm also trying to stay positive,
As you need to. And also there's been some help. I mean, Casey Turner's starting to do the driveway concerts out there. I really wish we could get some of those in Wisconsin, but it's a little cold for you right now.
Yeah, the driveway concerts, I am so grateful for them. I nobody better to put them together than Casey Turner. He's a local music promoter here who just loves music more than anybody. And I actually contacted him, I think, right after I got home from touring in Nashville in February. My last, little did I know at the time, it was my last live show. And I talked to him. I sent him a little text message, and I was like, hey, I saw some guy playing music on the top of his van I think it was in Italy. And I was like, hey, you got to start a series. And at first he was like, no, that won't work. I don't think so. And then a couple months later, he was like, all right, let's do this. And I mean, he's definitely the powerhouse I can't do a series out of it. We'd have to get some sort of like promoter. I think people should do it across the country. It's such a fun, safe way to bring music to people. We bring music to you. It's in your driveway. We're safe and socially distanced.
Other creative outlets. I just found out yesterday, I guess it was, that you're a mentor to other artists on Patreon.
Oh, yeah, unofficially. I've been mentoring artists on how to join Patreon and make the most out of it for, I don't know, I've been on it for almost 6 years. So
yeah,
the last 4 years maybe. And actually just had a call earlier today, a mentor session with a friend of mine who is going to crush Patreon once she gets on it. And I think we all grew up, I mean, sort of like there's always that thing like competition is like important and whatever. But yeah, sure. A little bit of competition is healthy and it keeps you like really, performing your best. But I think that we also don't get anywhere unless we help each other out. So, I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't get, countless hours of help and inspiration and advice from friends and peers and people who are, you know, way above me in my music career. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have help. So I just trying to spread the love.
For those who don't know about Patreon, it's basically a site that you can support your local artists. Doesn't even have to be music artists, but it's any kind of creative endeavor that you can support for a couple of bucks a month and really help the artist community out. And Megan's been out there one song a month, and sometimes two actually. So does that drive you crazy of having that deadline, that intensity of I have to create something right now from scratch, and it's the 26th of the month, and I'm not going to be able to pull this off?
So I actually joined Patreon for that very reason. I had done back in the day. I had signed up for. There's this artist out of New York City named Ari Hest who's amazing, and he did this just little thing called 52, which was like he wrote a song a week for a year. And I was like, that's so crazy. Who is this guy? And, so I signed up and all the songs were amazing. Some amazing and some just amazing. And I thought it was the best idea ever. So when I was in a little side project several years ago called The Novelists, and I said, hey, let's do that. We'll steal this idea, but let's just do a song a month because that's too much. And it worked, but it was never just like, it was very hard to like facilitate the back end and the money part.
Well, and you all lived in different places. You all lived in different places too at the time.
We all lived in different places. It was difficult. I was driving from San Francisco. I was driving to Reno, Nevada, which is like 4 hours every weekend. It was hard. And so there's never something. I always wanted to do something like this. And then Patreon comes out, and Patreon is essentially the same thing, where it's a subscription platform where people can subscribe to artists they like and enjoy, and not only help those artists out by being patrons, but also getting cool things in return. And so I was like, okay, Patreon is going to be the time that I finally nail that one a month songwriting thing. And one of the reasons I joined was because as an indie singer-songwriter, I have to wear all the hats, right? Like I do have a little bit of help, but the majority of this career is me doing all of the things. Like, I'll book my tours and promote things and do stuff with the band and write the songs and, do the PR and do the social media. And it takes a lot of time and space. And so what I would do is I would always put songwriting and creating sort of over to the side as like, oh, I'll get to that. But it never felt as urgent or as important. So with Patreon, it gave me the ability to say, no, let's make songwriting a priority, because it's like your content is you. And without that, you don't have anything. You aren't anything. You don't have stuff to sell. You don't have stuff to play. And so having that deadline gives me the ability to not put it off. So while I may put it off to the end of the month and then panic my way through a song, it has really helped me make creating a priority again. And when you give yourself 4 days to write, record, produce, engineer, release a song, not everything you're going to do is going to be genius and belabored over and over and over, but some of the choices that you have to make, you can become really creative knowing that you only have a certain amount of time to make something. And I've just had such a blast doing it. Like some of the decisions, I mean, I will take forever, on some parts. Like if I don't like a melody, I'll sit down and like really work on that melody, or if I don't like a verse or whatever. But sometimes you just have to make choices and roll with it and see what happens. And I love that. It's a really fun way to produce. So yeah, Patreon is great. I think it's really wonderful. And I think, it can be very adaptable for any artist. And I think that it's really kind of saved my butt this pandemic. I didn't really realize I'm so grateful for it, the platform, the company, but also just because I have a predictable monthly income that is keeping me, literally the only thing keeping me afloat right now. But it has also mentally been so good for me to have this community. Like all of you guys have just been making me feel strong. And anytime I feel a little unsure about like where this is all going, I know that I have this loving group of people who are just like rooting for me. And there's so much value in that.
Yep.
More than I could ever express.
On the Patreon site, as well as a relatively new Facebook group that, there's a lot of support there.
Community, man.
Yep.
So important.
It is. I guess, do you want to hit us with a song?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
So you sent some suggestions, and I forgot to pull up the email.
Dirty Wings is one of my favorites. Since you won't do Murmuration.
I tried to figure that out.
I have to keep poking you on that one.
Yeah, one of these days I'll figure out how to do it. All right, so Dirty Wings. This is a song I actually wrote quite a while ago, but it's one of those songs that sort of sticks with you.
That was on.
I have a band.
That was on Lady is a Pirate, right?
This one is on Freaky Little Story.
Oh, okay.
I think it's song. No, I can't remember which song it is.
But
it's early in the.
That's still like 17 years old, something like that. Because Lady is a Pirate is 20. I'm like, that's phenomenal, actually.
I was like 17 years old when I did that. All right, I'll play this.
Those souls are comfort. She said that's credit card. New shoes walking home. She don't own a car. She turns the lights on. Electric bill is high. She's glad Harry's out. She hates to cry. Under these dirty skies, her dirty wings, they let her fly. Under these dirty skies, her dirty wings, they let her fly. Oh, give me some reasons. Not just enough is enough. She pricks her skin. Oh, from thinking she could take too much. Just a fairy tale. She laughs outside. She can't keep it. No, yeah, sleeping girl has to close her eyes. Under these dirty skies, her dirty wings, they let her fly. Under these dirty skies, her dirty wings, they let her fly. Ooh. sirens. It's melting in the wind, fading when it is exposed to the sun. Turning on the shower sheets, melting in the water sheets, fading in the moonlight, turning into mud. Let her fly. Under these dirty skies, their dirty wings, they let her fly. Under these dirty skies, their dirty wings, they let her fly. Ooh. Ooh.
I love that song.
Thank you. I may have peaked the signal a couple of times there.
No, that was okay. It was just
Okay, good.
when you backed up, then it kind of got a little crazy, but then I just pushed you
Was
back
it
up again.
too loud?
Nope, it was beautiful.
Too quiet? Okay.
It was good. Post-production, all that, we'll take it into account. Old song.
Old
Now,
song.
that means we got to do an old story. You hinted at it with me the other day of why you have a post office box, and I've been dying to know. I've been dying to know the answer ever since.
I've had some. So, being a traveling musician and not famous at all, just being a normal, everyday singer songwriter, traveling musician, you meet a lot of people. And I've had the opportunity to play in so many fun different places, and also I tend to be I'm a people person.
That you are.
And I tend to really just like to make friends with whoever's around me, because I think that it makes life a better experience, right? Because I think every human has beautiful value. Some humans are, we all are learning from different points in different places, and we all have different lessons to learn. And but I really like to meet people, and I think that this job lends to that. Getting to meet people from all walks of life and all different, types, and it's wonderful. And every once in a while, you meet people who are what's the best way to say this? Maybe not the best people to make friends with.
There are those,
and
I've heard.
Yeah, but I am a weird person myself. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I'm weird and strange, and I don't necessarily do things. I got it from my parents. We never really conformed. My mother is, she homeschooled us. She's a hippie. She's one of those smart Stanford grads, and she was like, I'm just gonna do this myself. And so we already started from an alternative background, let's just say. And so I like to say that I also attract weird people. and sometimes that's
hence the Patreon
awesome.
Group.
Hence my beautiful Patreon group. I love how weird and nerdy and geeky and fresh and beautiful everybody is. And I get along with everybody because I feel like we're all the same in our own unique ways. But I have sort of had a problems ever since I was 16 and performing, that I've had a few followers who didn't share the same boundary lines that I did.
Creeps?
And what's that?
Creeps?
Okay. Yeah. So, the stalker stories. So the first, I'll just go through one of the first sort of stalker thing happened when I was 16 years old, when I got a call from a woman who had gotten my number from the music store, who should not have shared my number. But she was angry at me because her son, who had just gotten out of a mental institution, had told her that he was going to marry me. And this was news to me, and I was only 16, and my response was to burst into tears while I was talking to her on the phone, to which my dad grabbed the phone and explained the situation. Her son was a regular at my shows, and he would he'd pull his chair up right in front of me and sit looking at me, just drinking water. And he would never say anything, but it got to the point where it was pretty uncomfortable. There was an authorities called incident. It was, anyway, the next one I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to say there have been several. There's been I got a letter from a private detective about one of them.
Was that the one with the missing camera?
That one with the missing camera.
Okay.
It gets crazy. One of them was, I played in Switzerland at In Guitar, which is a music festival, many years ago when I was performing with David Knopfler from Dire Straits. I was like the American representative at the festival at the time. It was in Zurich, Switzerland. And little did I know, but when I came home, someone followed me. And he also set a proposal of marriage intention. And that was also a little alarming. And there was a moment where I was unaware for a while, but I was also catfished, maybe. For many years, someone pretended to be me, but just under a different name. This is a really interesting story. I won't dive into it because it's very complicated. But for a long time, for many years, a person, we don't know what gender they were, used my likeness, photos, videos, and music, and just used a different name, which was Maggie Chamberlain. So a person who looked and sounded like me, Maggie Chamberlain, using all of my songs and images, was out there doing their own career with a Facebook group, a Facebook page, a Twitter page, a blog page. They photoshopped my name out of photos and off of concert calendars and put their own name on. It's so strange. Anyway, I started having to wanting to just protect myself a little bit, and thus I got a P.O. box. I've had a P.O. box ever since I lived in Tracy, California, and my parents were like, "We just don't want to invite anybody over." And I was like, "Okay, that's smart."
Yep. I mean, yeah. We're sitting here laughing about this, but it's really very disturbing that this has happened at all. That you have to go through this, and I find that incredible, actually.
I know that I'm definitely not the only one. I think there's something, music connects people. And sometimes the connection can be really deep in this, beautiful way where we connect over ideas and energy and friendships, really strong friendships. I would say at least 99% of the friendships I have are through music, but there's also, every once in a while, there's one that it sort of misses it doesn't get the right grip, and those are just another experience of life, man. I have to say the thing, my P.O. box is literally my only address now. That's the only place I get mail.
She lives in this very tiny place that's opened by a master key from the outside. Yeah, it's not like your current fans are a bunch of weirdos or creeps or anything. It's just
Well, we're all a bunch of weirdos, let's
okay.
be honest. But
Dangerous weirdos.
yeah,
Maybe I should preface.
my grandma even sends my birthday cards to my PO box.
That's your sister who lives next door does the same thing. It's
Yeah, exactly.
speaking of music like that and your lyrics, your band, well, at least Kyle, calls you Murder, right? Because of your lyrical content.
It took them a while to like really dive in and figure out that it was sort of like it came to one time where they were like, wait, you write a lot of songs about murder. I'd like to blame that on my parents because they introduced us to film noir when I was a kid, and like my siblings and we just like would watch black and white movies with like, that intense like just contrast with like dark alleys and like rain and weird like cinematography and Humphrey Bogart, and I loved all of those murder mysteries, and I thought they were just fantastic stories, the whodunits, and so I think a lot of my music was definitely influenced by those stories and just how people are so complicated,
Did you
so
have
complicated.
any literary influences as well that like Edgar Allan Poe or something like that?
Definitely Edgar Allan Poe. I love Edgar Allan Poe. Though I tend to like fluffier books and darker movies. Maybe that's the contrast, but I mean,
well, it's a contrast in your music too. I mean, you've got upbeat, fluffy melody lines, but these really dark lyrics like "I'll hold you close as our bodies fuse" in "Nuclear Love Song," played with a ukulele. It's a happy song, but no, it's not.
I mean, if you're gonna write a love song on a ukulele, everybody's got to die. It's just too cute otherwise.
I suppose that's very true. How about another song?
That sounds great. Hey, remind me what we decided next.
California? That one has no murder in it, I don't think.
What's that?
I don't think that one has any murder in it.
No murder. No murder in this one.
Just get out of here, but leave the state to me.
This is a song that's going to be on the new record that was actually supposed to be like officially released. I had teaser copies and everything, but it was supposed to be officially released this year. But since the pandemic happened, all of the funding that I was supposed to get from like the tours didn't happen. So that means that I no longer had money to get a publicist together and make marketing assets like music videos and things like that. So I sort of just set those two little releases that I was going to do aside, which has been very hard because I spent a year making these two things, and but I still can't help. They'll be released, but
I feel fortunate that I have probably then one of the only existing copies of the first EP that came out, because this is good.
Yeah, I didn't even have money to make the second teaser test copies of the EP number 2. But
and listeners, by the time you hear this, a lot more of this music will probably be out or coming out very soon.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. All right, so this song's called California, and this is from new EP that I did with Alex Wong out of Nashville, and yeah, it's like this. You're so funny, I can hear you all the way clear across the country. Don't care that you're behaving, you're your mother's favorite baby. Your father don't know quite what to do with you, boy. Did you get what you came for? Did you get what you wanted? Put a ring on her finger, might give you a daughter. Will it fix all of the problems you've had since you were in college and haven't figured out what to do with them yet? It's the right thing. Listen to your heart sing, listen to the feeling.
Listen to it beating, it's bleeding. Listen to your pain, listen to what your mama say. You do what you wanna, you take what you gotta, but you better leave me. You better leave me with California. California. You better leave me. You better leave me with California. Oh, California. You're so stupid, I think you're so stupid. Don't you think that the whole world is gonna bring you to your ruins? You dress it in disguises, but there should be no surprises. And there'll always come a time you gotta deal with it. Put everything you gave me in a cardboard box. Drive it to the corner of the neighborhood thrift shop. If it's from you, I don't want it, but some lucky sucker coming in this week. Find some really good stuff. It's the right thing. Listen to your heart sing. Listen to the freeway. Listen to your leaving. It's free. Listen to your pain. Listen to what your mama say. You do what you wanna. You take what you gotta, but you better leave me. You better leave me with California. Oh, California. Oh, you better leave me. You better leave me with California. Oh, California. Oh, it's been the right day. Listen to my heart sing. Listen to the freeway. Listen to me, sweet it's free. And listen, I'm sure not listening to you anymore. You do what you wanna. You take what you gotta, but you better leave me. You better leave me with California. Oh, California. Better leave me. You better leave me with California. California.
I heard that song first at Mile of Music, not this past year, but the year before. So tell me about Mile of Music. What does it mean to you to be here? Because once upon a time, artists at Mile of Music could only be there for 2 years before they couldn't come back. And you're there like all the time, which is great. But you're kind of a pillar of that festival now.
I feel very fortunate. Mile of Music sort of changed the music experience for me, honestly. Like, it's interesting to say that about one festival, but it changed the way I want music to happen. Because when you find it happening well and right, you want it to happen well and right all the time. And I was like, oh, so my first experience there, I was like, oh, so this is what I want it to be. This is what a festival should be. This is how I want to interact with my audience. This is how I want to interact with my fellow bands and artists that I know, my peers. And it felt very powerful. There's something about that festival that is so rejuvenating. It's sort of like, you're touring and touring all year, and some of it's amazing, some of it's very difficult, and then you get to this festival and it's like you plug yourself in and you recharge your batteries. And it's fun, and it's a lot of work, but mentally and spiritually just sort of just like makes you whole again. It's enough though. It's enough to like carry you through all of the experiences that you have afterward. I've met so many great friends there, and I've met so many great bands there, and it's amazing. I mean, I feel like I sell more merchandise there than at any of the other festivals put together. I never bring enough merchandise to that. It's because I don't know what it is, but Mile, it's it creates an opportunity for people to enjoy music without distraction. And I think that that is so important, and Mile puts an emphasis on that. It puts an emphasis on that by just encouraging people to be in the experience. Like, let's be in here right now together. And it feels so great, like, to be a part of that.
Well,
You know, you're not sorry, go
it's
ahead.
it's all free for
It's
for the
free.
music consumers, and there's no cover songs. It's all original music. From somebody told me, it might have been you actually, that if you play a cover, you don't get paid. So,
Oh wow. See, I didn't know that. But like, I do know that like Mile encourages you to be you. You know, it's like, what what a cool experience. Like, you know, I've been to so many shows where it's been difficult to like get people to hang on, like, unless you play a cover. But here it's just like you get to be the artist you've been working towards, you know? And people are there for that reason. They're not there because you're gonna, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with cover bands. I think cover
nope.
bands are great, but this particular festival is for original artists, and and they promote that.
Yep.
They promote your uniqueness and your originality, and uniqueness totally, because like there are artists from all over the world doing all different kinds of things. And I have to say, I am very proud to be a part of a festival that puts an emphasis, like an extra emphasis, on female performers, because there are so many festivals that I've been to that I am literally one of the only females there, like in any band, bandmates included. And there are so many incredible talented women musicians, and I love, like, you know, just being a part of that. And Mile is like, is representing people from all different cultures and creeds and genders and ethnicities, and I think it's so great. It makes it so special and so tasty,
Unless
you
there's
know.
all of a sudden a thunderstorm that crops up.
Honestly, so for those of you who weren't there last Mile, there was a huge thunderstorm that happened, you know, those Midwestern storms that just, and it just drenched us. We were outside, but and we had to shut down our show in the middle of it. But that was definitely one of my favorite shows I've ever
It
played.
was fun.
Soaking wet, nearly electrocuted.
Living on the edge. On the other side, I've seen some of the most poignant music ever at the St. Lawrence Chapel.
Oh,
When
so good.
when you guys get together, the Bose Troubadours will get together there. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, where you just, you're right. If it's rejuvenating for you as an artist, it's rejuvenating for us as listeners.
Ah,
Because
so good.
it's so wonderful.
I think everyone gets something out of it. I think everyone, uh, you know, can come away just feeling like, I don't know, just loved and energized. I don't want to sound too woo woo, but and I missed it this year. Like, we were in a pandemic when none of us could go out and do stuff, and it was definitely one of the things that made this year feel, you know, empty.
What do you think? Next year, 2021, is it gonna happen?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say we're gonna have. I mean, do I believe that? I don't know yet, but I'm gonna say Milo music is gonna happen. Live music is gonna continue in some sort of capacity or another. This is all just me being positive and speaking like there's gonna be a great vaccine. It's gonna work. You know, whether in reality it does or not, I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna go positive, because I don't know if I can sustain another year of not
Yeah.
playing mentally and financially. I don't know that I can. go on, do another year of a pandemic. There might be some alternative things going on.
I hear there's an opening at the tea shop down the street.
Yeah, get a job at the tea shop. I'll be the official taster.
No, you would end up spending all your salary on tea and bringing it home.
I'll have a tab. I'll spend more than I take in. Yeah. I want to quick say that there might be some sort of delay in our audio, so I keep talking over you. So feel free to just ask the question again or say whatever you're going to say again.
We'll get through this. It's really no different than standing in a thunderstorm at Mile of Music, if you think about it.
It's an adventure.
It really is. So one last song?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Let's talk about just a real quick. You did a TED Talk a while back.
Oh yeah.
Can you do a shortened version of what "Listen to the Hum" means to you?
Yeah. So I was asked to do this TEDx talk, which is a 15-minute talk that I did at the University of Nevada, and it was maybe one of the most frightening things I've done. I'm only used to singing what I have to say, and then just having to be up there and do it without melody was very frightening for me.
You pulled it off very well, by the way.
Thank you. It was so scary. It was a real honor to do it, and I usually they put you with a coach to coach you through a speech and like how to put together a good talk, but I did not get assigned a coach, even though I asked for one. I begged for one. And so I sort of was on my own out there, and I felt really scared, but I think that sort of I think there's something about like I felt accomplished when it was done. I was like, that may not have been the best thing I've ever done, but I got through it. I'm very proud of myself. So my talk was about listening to whatever that internal monologue is for you, for us, you know, and I always said that internal monologue, ever since I was a child, actually, I've thought of it as just sort of like this energy, like, or like, you know, how sound has shape, sound is movement, sound, it's like that. And it's inside, and whatever your body is resonating at is like sort of this, it resonates well when you're doing the right thing. And it makes it terrible. It feels bad. It sounds bad when you're doing something that you don't want to do. And so I know, even though music has sort of been this strange journey that has changed and ebbed and flowed and reinvented itself over my years of doing it, I always know that I'm doing the right thing when I listen to that like inner like sound. I know it's very woo-woo sounding, but it's like this, it's the hum, like the hum inside my body. It's the inner voice that's telling me that I'm on the right path. And funny enough, I sort of talked about how the hum is sometimes challenging because it's not always, you can follow this, you know, path. Music for me was the hum. You know, for other people, it's dancing or cooking or, you know, numbers or teaching children or, you know, helping the homeless. And for me, it just, ever since I was a kid, it was music. And that's not always been easy because it's gotten in a way of a lot of the more traditional things that we're supposed to do. And that's in air quotes. We're supposed to do, like have a family and a house and a savings account and, you know, a partner and things like that. And it's not that those things aren't possible, but sometimes listening so intensely to, you know, that path and following that path so hard, sometimes that can be difficult for those other things. And so my talk was sort of about like, where do you choose to follow the hum, and where do you choose not to follow the hum? And I mean, whether I like it or not, I've always sort of gone down that path, and I continue to listen. And yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
And you're happier for it, I'm sure. I mean,
and I'm happier for it. There's been some difficult hurdles, and it's, I compromise. It's not, I don't buy the good cheese at the deli counter, but, we're still playing music.
That was a great segue into Best in Me.
Yep. Actually, that's a good song to end with. This song is another song that I wrote and recorded on Patreon. And I wanted to write a song about, it's so easy to write the song that's like, hey, you done me wrong. You're the jerk. How dare you break my heart? But I wanted to do one that was the opposite. And this one is I'm the jerk. And it's called The Best in Me. And it's sort of like, maybe it's not the end of a relationship, but it should be. It's one of those things where you're, you got your demons, and somehow those who love you around you are still. It's called The Best in Me. You threw a party, I threw a punch, bring a cold bottle, but I brought a warm gun. You wanna have a family, but I wanna have a good time. You look into the future, I'm just looking for another glass of wine. Hey, you see the best in me, when all I see is just a chance to get up and leave. Ooh, you're the best in me. Ooh, well, the best of the best, and as good as it could be. Picking up my pieces, putting down enough for two men. Get a lot of things on your mind. Some of them will be my demons. Just you wanna have a conscience. Sometimes you wish you never met me. I don't know why you stay here. Don't know why you haven't left me. And how you see the best in me. And all I see is just a chance to get up and leave. You're the best in me. Oh, well, the best of the best, and as good as it could be. Oh, your heart, it's beating all the time. I haven't seen that part of me in quite a while. Oh, and I don't know what I'll find. Picking up my pieces, putting down another two men. Get that lot of things on your mind. Some of them will be my demons. How you see the best in me, when all I see is just a chance to get up and leave. Ooh, you're the best in me. Oh, the best of the best, and as good as he could be. Oh, the best of the best, and as good as he could be. Woo, the best.
This has been fun.
It has been fun.
So,
Yeah.
MeganSlankard.com
MeganSlankard.com.
and Patreon.com/MeganSlankard.
That's the one. And if you type Megan Slankard into the searches and the interwebs, you'll find me, even if you misspell my name, because nobody else has that name.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Tom.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All the demons in your head trying to get you to go back to bed. What you're chasing dreams they say you'll never catch. Sometimes it feels like they're gonna get away. Sometimes you feel your muscles ache and you wish you just had a break. Floor is creaking, groaning under all the weight. Sometimes it feels like it's going to give away. It's just what you need to lean into a leap of faith. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. You got this. Every time you turn on the news, you feel the cinching of a noose. It's like we're shaking, losing all our bolts and screws. Sometimes it feels like it's all gonna break. Baby, won't you let it rain? You don't owe nobody anything. Know that's it somewhere inside our sins. Sometimes it feels like it's gonna lose away. But maybe it is what you need to lean into a leap of faith. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. You got this. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. You got this. No, you don't know what's round the bend, and you can't see what's up the edge. There are not too many things I understand, but I feel like it's gonna be okay. Sometimes it's hard to see the good things. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. You got this. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. You got this. That's a wrap. Shit half bad. Get me off to bed. Think I'm dying slightly after a day like that.
You've been listening to the Access Hour. The views expressed on the Access Hour do not necessarily represent those of the station's board of directors, staff, or programmers. Please remember that this show relies on your ideas. You can submit your idea by clicking on Sign Up to Host an Access Hour in the WORT website. The Access Hour is anything you want it to be.